Chapter 18th, where the words that Sancho Panza said to his master Don Quixote are recorded, with other adventures worthy of being told. Sancho reached his master so exhausted and faint that he could hardly drive his donkey. When Don Quixote saw him in that state, he said, "I believe now, good Sancho, that castle or inn is enchanted without any doubt, since those men so cruelly had fun at your expense. What could they have been but phantoms and people from the other world? And I can confirm this, for having seen that when I was near the walls of the coral witnessing the unfolding of your sad tragedy, I couldn't get over the walls, much less get off Rocinante, because they must have enchanted me. I swear to you, on the faith of who I am, that if it had been possible for me to get over the walls or get off my horse, I would have avenged you so that those rogues and brigands would remember that joke forever, even if it meant that I would have to go against the laws of chivalry, since I have already told you many times they don't allow a knight to raise his hand against anyone who is not one himself, except in self-defense, and then only in the case of pressing and urgent need. I would have avenged myself if I could have, dubbed a knight or not, but I couldn't. But I do firmly believe that those who were having such a good time at my expense were not phantoms or enchanted men, as your grace says, but rather men of flesh and blood like us. And all of them had names. I heard them all call each other by name. One of them was called Pedro Martinez, and the other was Tenorio Hernandez, and the innkeeper was called Juan Palomeque, the left-handed. So, Señor, not being able to climb over the fence of the corral or get you off your horse had to do with something other than enchantment. And what I conclude from all this is that these adventures we go looking for in the end will bring us nothing but misfortune, so we won't even know which is our right foot. And what would be the best thing for us to do, in my limited understanding, is to return to our village now, since it is harvest time, and tend to the farm, and stop going from Theca to Mecca, and from a rock to a hard place, as they say. How little you know, Sancho, about chivalry, responded Don Quixote. Keep quiet and be patient, for the day will come when you will see with your own eyes what an honorable thing it is to engage in this profession. If not, tell me, what greater content can there be in the world, or what pleasure can rival that of winning a battle and of triumphing over your enemy? None, without any doubt. It must be that way, responded Sancho, although I have no way of knowing. I only know that since we have been knights errant, or rather since your grace has been, there is no reason to count me among such an honorable group. We have never won any battle, except the one with the basque. And even there your grace left it with only one half an ear and half a helmet gone. And since then, it's been wax and more wax, punches and more punches. And in addition to all that, I have been blanketed by enchanted persons who I can't take vengeance on. So I can't know the pleasure you get when you conquer an enemy, as you say. This bothers me, and must bother you as well, Sancho, responded Don Quixote. But as soon as I can, I will try to get a sword made with such powers, and whoever has it with him cannot suffer any kind of enchantment. And it may even be that good fortune will bring me Amadis's sword, when he was called the Knight of the Burning Sword. It was one of the best swords that any knight ever had, because aside from the powers I just mentioned, it cut like a razor, and there was no armor, no matter how sturdy and enchanted it might be, that could withstand it. My luck is such, said Sancho, that when this came to pass, and you found such a sword, it would only be of use to knights, as with the balm, and as for squires, they'll be out in the cold once again. Don't worry about that, Sancho, said Don Quixote, because heaven will treat you better. Don Quixote and his squire were having this conversation when Don Quixote saw on the road they were on an enormous thick cloud of dust. When he saw it, he turned to Sancho and said, "This is the day, Sancho, that fate has reserved for me. This is the day on which will be demonstrated, more than on any other day, the strength of my arm, and on which I'll do deeds that will be written in the book of fame for all future ages. Do you see that cloud of dust swirling up over there, Sancho? Well, it has been churned up by a colossal marching army consisting of innumerable soldiers from many different places. In that case, there must be two armies, said Sancho, because from the other side there is a similar cloud of dust. Don Quixote turned to see it, and he saw that it was true. It gladdened him beyond measure, since he thought there were doubtless two armies that had come to attack and do battle in the middle of that spacious plain, because his imagination had him filled at all times with the combats, enchantments, incidents, follies, romances, and challenges recounted in the romances of chivalry, and everything he said, thought, or did was along those lines. It turned out that the clouds of dust he had seen were made by two large flocks of sheep that were coming from two different directions along the same road. And because of the dust, the sheep themselves couldn't be seen until they drew near. Don Quixote insisted with such ardor that they were armies, that Sancho came to believe him and said, "Señor, what should we do?" "What?" said Don Quixote. "Why, help the needy and weak side. I want you to know, Sancho, that the army coming towards us is led by the great Emperor Ali Fanfarrón, Lord of the great island of Trapobana. This other army marching at our backs is the one belonging to his enemy, the king of the Central African Garamantans, Pentapolen of the rolled-up sleeve, because he always goes into battle with his right arm bared."